Alright guys, first off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about how the French Revolution really starts to kick into gear. And today's the lesson where we're going to talk about the beginning parts of the heads rolling. So here's the objectives. We're going to analyze the Reign of Terror. We're going to examine the difference between Girondins and Jacobians and create an argument on whether simply killing the nobles will fix everything. All right, now here's your warm-up picture. Before you start writing, let me explain this, okay? So, if you look at the picture, especially the clouds, focus on the clouds. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I watch movies and I see like it's a sunny day and all of a sudden dark clouds come in and things like that, that's kind of like a foreshadowing to me of bad things are going to happen, okay? But then also the opposite way, when there's like a dark skies and all of a sudden the clouds open up and a light comes down, that's kind of showing that, hey, things are going to get better, things like that. So if you notice these clouds, there's like dark on the outside, light in the middle. Do you think that this is foreshadowing that like the dark clouds are coming in and that's like this is going to be a bad thing that's happening? Or do you think it was dark and cloudy and all of a sudden the sky has opened up and the sunlight shined down? So that it's a good thing that this is happening. What do you think? What do you think? The good thing or a bad thing? And again, it's on your paper. It's on the question. All right. So tell me what you think and why. Why do you say, the bad thing with the dark clouds, or you think it's a good thing with the light shining down? What do you think? Okay, so pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right. So in the last lecture, we talked about how King Louis XVI is a prisoner in Paris, right, with his wife and son. Thing is, he's actually still in power, but he doesn't have like total control. And without him being in total control, it's just like pure chaos in France. Okay, because for one, there's still a food shortage. No one's saying, "Oh, we need to plant more tomatoes and potatoes and things like that." So farmers are like, "Okay, well, what do we grow? You know, should we still grow the same amount of stuff? Should we do something different? How we should do this?" The other thing is the military is in shambles. They're just like too many generals are like, "Well, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge." Too many, chefs in the kitchens, not enough cooks. Okay. And the other thing is rumors are spreading about royalist conspiracies that people still want the king in power and things like that. And as you guys know in high school, it doesn't take much for rumors to, spread through like a wildfire, you know. So this guy you see in this picture right here, that is the Minister of Justice, George Danton. Now, the thing is, he basically forced the royal family to seek protection from the legislative assembly. Okay, he did not like the king, but he was like, you know what? Yeah, no, they don't deserve to be killed by a mob and things like that. Yeah. Now, the next part is before a national convention could be created to kind of calm down the people, like tell people like what's going on, what's their plan, things like that. Before they could get that started, riots broke out throughout Paris. Um, Things were getting even worse now. There were rumors that the noblemen were trying to stop the revolution. That maybe they hired spies to listen to people's conversations and try to lure them to like talking about like what the plan is and things like that, and then they were gonna like um, keep a like a notebook and type of thing of like who's saying what, who's doing what, things like that. So because of those rumors, people were suspicious, and with the riots too, thousands of people died because of this. Now, in September 1792, a newly elected national convention began their first meeting, and what kind of stood out was that a lot of these guys were very young. A lot of them were under the age of 45, but they had some political experience. They were governors and, assemblymen and things like that. So they weren't like presidents and things like that, but they did some jobs in the government. And the thing is, too, almost every single one of them did not trust the king at all. Okay. So on September 21st, 1792, they come to a decision. The question was, should we still keep the king, the monarchy type of thing, or should we have a republic where the people have a say so in the government? And they said, yeah, let's get rid of the whole kingship thing. The king thing didn't work. Let's get rid of it. Now, with that being said, there was two political parties that came up during this time: the Girondins and the Jacobians, or Jacobins. And they saw things differently. The Girondins were like, you know what? We know that there's people who still want the king in power, you know, and things like that. But we should talk to them, convince them, you know, tell them why the king is horrible, why the king um, should not be in power. And then the Jacobians, sorry, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that name. They basically said, well, if these people want to follow the king, let's just kill the king. The logic sounds good, right? If this is the problem, get rid of the problem. Kill the king, you know? So, yeah, that was their solution. So, January 21st, 1793, King Louis XVI is beheaded. They shave off part of his head up here. Um, they basically tell him you have any last words, and then they put him in the guillotine, set him up, chop his head off, and then they take it out of the basket and just like, hey, look at this. Woo-hoo-hoo, I got his head. Then, blood's dripping down. His eyes are like falling back, and they're just like parading his head around. So, with this being done, this created some new enemies for France. Not just in France, but also around the world. Because you have to remember, too, a lot of countries around the world still had kings and queens and things like that. So, when they saw what the French people did, they were like, what do you think? Do you think our people would ever do something like that? Maybe you rich people treat the poorer people like crap. So they might look at the French people and be like, that's what we should do too. So some countries were basically telling France, hey, you need to stop with this killing the noblemen and the royal families and things like that. You need to stop. And the French are like, make us. All right. The National Convention had some radical ideas too. One of them was price control on food. So instead of the price of bread keep going from $20 to $4 to $80, they're like, no, no, no. Let's keep the price of bread the same all the way through, no matter if things get more expensive or don't. Here's the thing. That does help out for a little bit, but ultimately that hurts the economy. And the last one was universal suffrage for males, meaning all guys could vote. No matter if you're rich, poor, young, old, didn't matter. If you were a man who lived in that country, you were a citizen, you could vote. Now, here's the thing, like I said earlier, not everybody in Paris supported killing the king. The Western France people, the Basque people, refused to accept the National Convention decision, and they didn't like the idea that the king was beheaded. Now, there's one name you should remember when it comes to the French Revolution. It's Maximilien Robespierre. Robespierre was a amazing lawyer and politician. Well, why was he so amazing? Well, it's not what he did or what he believed in. It's his ability to persuade people. His speeches were phenomenal, beautiful, well written. and he could convince people to do things that they normally wouldn't have done. So his name's going to pop up again more often as we go through the lesson. Now, the Reign of Terror. Robespierre was in charge of this group called the Committee of Public Safety, and they took over the government. They basically told the French people, "Hey, we're here to protect you, to do what's best for you, but you guys need to listen." Well, here's the problem. In fear that the rebellion would destroy itself from the inside out, like these rebellious people would destroy the country and, infiltrate it, destroy it, and then ruin everything. So what happened was that anybody who was seen as a threat, seen as a terrorist, a traitor, a counter-revolutionist, were killed. Because to these guys, they saw these people as like weeds. And if you've ever had a garden or you have a big, a decent sized backyard, if there's one weed, they're going to bring more. They're going to spread. And that's the thing you don't want. So that's why they felt, you know what, let's just kill these people. So 40,000 people were killed during the Reign of Terror. Now, were all these people traitors? No, absolutely not. Were all of them counter-revolutionists? No. Okay. These were, again, people who were rumored to be counter-revolutionists, traitors to the country of France. But a lot of them, there was no proof. It was just all for rumors. Now, where did they execute people? Basically, towns that had some type of convention, towns that supported the beheadings. They would have to have their own stage and the guillotine, things like that. And this was a thing that people went to go see. This is like, if they had popcorn, they'd be eating that going, kill him, chop off his head, do a slow-mo. That was their entertainment for that night, So, yeah, it's kind of morbid, but yeah, people, stood around and watched those executions. So a couple of famous people who got executed, got their head chopped off. One was Marie Antoinette, the queen. She did have her head chopped off. And Olympe de Gaulle was another famous person in France who was executed too through the guillotine. So here's my question to you. Do you believe that the Reign of Terror was necessary? Do you think that, hey, if people don't agree with you, they don't, they think that the king should be brought back, they should be executed. Don't talk to them, forget all that kind of stuff, just execute them, get rid of them. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that it was necessary to do that or not? So be sure you explain it, okay? Your rationale. Now, once that's done, you're done with this lesson. All right, so you guys, you take care, you be safe. I'll see you guys later, okay?